Joseph Stiglitz is one of the most prestigious economists in the world and probably one of the most recognized ones. In the last 30 years, his work and research have achieved worldwide recognition, making him a reference in the academic, political and social fields. Stiglitz is a professor at Columbia University and he is a Nobel Prize winner in economics. Moreover, he has become one of the most important experts in talking about the current economic crisis, its causes and consequences. A prolific and successful writer and speaker, he has come to La Coruña to give a lecture titled, "Can Capitalism be Saved from Itself?" Hello, Professor. Welcome to Fundación Barrier.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us
Nice
today.
to be here.
You have chaired the Commission on Measurement of Economic Performance and Social Progress. Why is it so important to improve, to change the economic indicators?
Because what we measure affects what we do. If we measure the wrong things, we'll do the wrong things. Governments, individuals, societies always look at who is doing well and what do they do to do well. But how do they know what is doing well? And unfortunately, too often, we look at the GDP number. Before the crisis, many countries in Europe looked at the United States and they looked at the GDP and they said, look at it, it's doing so much better than we are. Why don't we imitate the United States? Imitate American-style capitalism. What they didn't understand is America was not doing very well. Why? Well, GDP may have been going up, but most Americans' standard of living was going down. If we adjust for, look at the income of the median person, the person in the middle, he was doing worse and worse. If we took into account lack of health, lack of security, it was even worse. So before somebody says we want to imitate American-style capitalism, we want to think, what is it like to live in that society? And are our measures capturing a real sense of well-being? We also made a very, people looked at GDP, forgot to ask the question, was it sustainable? And what was going on in the United States was not sustainable. The growth that we saw was based on debt, excessive debt. 80% of Americans were spending every year about 110% of their income. And that couldn't continue. We were living on debt. So again, if we had looked at the numbers, not just GDP, but what was happening to debt, we would have realized this is a disaster. So we have to look at environmental, political, social, sustainability, we have to look at distribution, we have to look at all these other things that are left out of GDP. And what we did in our report, which is published in English called Mismeasuring Our Lives, why GDP doesn't add up, our report outlined an agenda for creating a set of measures that will give us a better assessment of how well we really are doing.
Has there been some progress, some advance in the implementation of the recommendations?
Oh, enormous progress, actually. I've been really very surprised at the resonance that our report has had. Countries all over the world, from Australia, UK, Scotland, Canada, Finland. Every day I get a new report of some other country that's really listened to our report and tried to implement. Now, this is something that is not going to be implemented in one stage. This is a 25-year agenda. But at least we've succeeded in helping people reshape how they're thinking about what it means to be successful. Let me give you one really interesting example in the UK. Where one of the things our report emphasizes is how important connectedness is to individual sense of well-being, people's interpersonal relations, how often they meet, Economists call this sometimes social capital. Well, in the UK, they discovered that important in some more isolated villages were the pub and the post office as places that people came together. From an economic point of view, keeping the post offices open might not have made sense. But once you took a broader view and realized how important the post office was in the lives of the community, it changed their thinking about what to do about these post offices.
Mm-hmm. In any case, with the current indicators and data, the inequality in the world is decreasing or is increasing?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Within most countries around the world, it's increasing. In the United States, it's gotten much, much worse, to the point today where the upper 1% gets somewhere between 20 and 25% of the income, over 40% of all the wealth. If we look at across the whole world, of course, the rise of China and India means that billions of people are getting better off. So sometimes people say, well, looking at it from a global perspective, things are getting better. But certainly in terms of what's happening inside the United States and most European countries, things are getting worse.
And how can we promote advances aiming to the reduction of poverty or less inequality?
Well, government policy is absolutely vital. Over the long term, probably nothing's more important than good public education, good access, all the way from kindergarten, from preschool, all the way through the university. And the concern, for instance, in the United States is that we are having an increasingly segregated education system where the rich live in communities with good schools and the poor live in communities with bad schools. The rich send their kids to elite private schools. The poor send their kids to weak public schools. And social mobility in the United States, social economic mobility, the chance of somebody from the bottom making it to the top and vice versa, has been decreased enormously. So the notion of America being a land of opportunity, unfortunately, has become a myth. It's no longer true. And the same thing has happened in some other countries. So to me, that's the first thing, education. But there are other things. Tax policy, benefits, social benefits are all very important in undoing the market's role in increasing inequality.
Professor, thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
It has been an honor.